Wow, thank you so much, Brother Pio and Sis Bebo. Thank you so much for inspiring us with your wisdom and experience. And I can't help to apply the lessons that I learned from you to have a super duper to the max amazing relationship with my wife. And thank you also for that warm introduction. But more importantly, I want to give a special shout out to all the fathers, grandfathers, and godfathers here in North America, in the US, Canada, and Bahamas. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for leading your family here at our Feast at Home. And happy Father's Day. So speaking of, I want to introduce again myself. I'm Brother Tyrone Dizon, and I'm here, or I'm a district builder here in Rancho Camonga in California, USA. As a father, it's with great joy to be serving with my family, with my 6 children, Sophia, Ava, Stella, Elena, Samantha, and Elijah. And I'm so proud of you, and I want to let you know that I dedicate this talk to all of you. You've made me proud, and you bring me so much joy. But more importantly, I also want to dedicate this to my supporting and lovely wife, MM. And speaking of my wife, I want to start in our marriage in 2005, because before we got married, we spoke to our priest, and the priest suggested to us that on our first year, not to have any children, that we need to focus on our marriage and our relationship. And boy, I'm glad that we listened to our priest. Why? Because in us parents, time and history are divided into two periods. And these are BC and AD. BC is before children, AD is after delivery of our children. And for some of you, you're probably laughing right now or smiling or thinking that that's funny. But tell me if I'm right. The moment you had a child, your life changes, your marriage changes, and it's never ever the same again. But change doesn't just stop on childbirth. Every change that's happening in your children, every growth that's happening in your children, it's also a continuous change in your life. But here's my question: who wants change? With all the pandemic that's happening right now, with the virus, we want that change. We want that to stop. With all the racial discrimination, the racial injustice, the violence, the looting, and the riot, we want this stop. Here's the problem: we want change, but we do not want to be changed. And as parents, we refuse to change even though our children are changing. Why? Because we confuse love with involvement. We confuse love with need. We confuse love with protection. And with this confusion and this mix up, we use this as an excuse not to change, thinking that we are showing our love for our children. Honestly, think about this. When we don't change, we're not loving our kids anymore. I want to show you an analogy. Imagine you have a stress ball, and this is basically a ball made of foam that you can press hard and you can let go to relieve the stress. What if on this example is that you press on that stress ball so hard but you're not gonna let go? What's gonna happen? Eventually you're gonna get tired. You're gonna get stressed out and you're gonna strain the muscles that you have in your hand. That's what's gonna happen when we don't change. Your relationship will be stressed. And these are the things that's gonna happen. There are 4 things that's gonna happen. First is that you lose your child. Your child will rebel. Second is that your child won't mature. Even worse, which is the third one, your children's children, they're not gonna mature. It will just be an ongoing cycle. And fourth one, you're not gonna mature also. So I want to encourage you, by allowing change, you force yourself to grow up. You need to adapt, and you too need to change, or else you and your child will suffer. So what's my advice? I have 2 words. You have to let go. In order for you to hold on, and the only way to hold on is to let go. We have to let go and allow our children to grow so that they can feel that we trust them. Here's an analogy. Stella just graduated from kinder, and I'm excited to see her getting to her first grade, second grade, third grade, and eventually graduate to middle school and high school and also achieve her career. Imagine me, a guy who's turning 40, and I'm still in kinder. That's gonna look weird, right? So if you want your children to be successful, you have to do those 2 words. You have to let go. As a parent, Our role is to help our children grow two things. We have to help them grow their wings, and we have to help them grow their roots. Because we may be the greatest dad or the greatest mom, wherein you're helping your children grow their roots. But if you don't change, you're not helping them develop their wings. A child will, with roots only, will always be stuck in their life. But by allowing change, you force yourself to grow up and you help your children to spread their wings. So I'm going to ask you, are you ready to take this responsibility? If you do, I'm going to introduce you to the 3 hats of parenting. So let's talk about the first hat. The first hat is the controller's hat. When your kids are small, the controller's hat is the first hat that you should wear. When you wear this hat, you give exact instructions to your children consistently. Consistency is the key to create control and clarity. Even the Bible says in Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 7, and it says there, keep repeating them to your children, recite them when you are at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. You don't just teach once or twice. Basically, what happens is that we continue to teach them with consistency every step of the way. Because if you just teach them once or twice, it's not going to work. Just imagine how many times I told Samantha to not eat ice cream before any meal. That they have to eat their food first before they can have their dessert or ice cream. Imagine how many times I told my girls no cereal on lunch or dinner. We allow them to eat cereal on breakfast. Basically, this is what Deuteronomy chapter 6 says, is that you need to make your child go through an immersive experience. In other words, a parent who's wearing a controller's hat need this powerful tool. And I'm going to introduce you to the power of family culture, where your child lives, breathes, talks, walks, and eats the value that you're teaching him or her. So for a controller hat, you need this powerful tool called family culture. But how do you build a family culture? Well, if you want to build a family culture, you need a car. And no, I'm not talking about a vehicle. I'm talking about CAR, community, aspiration, and ritual. Let's start with the first one, community. And we're so blessed that we are part of this movement, the Light of Jesus family. This is a community where we can get resources, where we talked about faith, friends, finances, fitness, fun here at the feast. But more importantly, we talked about our family. We talked about on how we can create this happy, healthy community. So if you are interested to be part of this community, just make sure you write down your name and your location on the comments section, and one of our connectors, we're gonna reach you here at Feast at Home, so that we can plug you into this wonderful and amazing community that has blessed us tremendously. So community, and the next one is aspiration. Let me share you all these photos. These are just examples of the family culture that I want to build for my family. And I want to thank my dad and my mom, my dad, Papa Boise, and my mom, Mama Beth, because they're the ones who encouraged me to have a family. They're the ones who taught me the value of having a family. A place where I can come home whenever I feel tired or weary, and to be fulfilled. Full of God's grace, and also filled with the love of the people that God is surrounding me. My daughter Elena always say, I love our family. Our home is filled with reminders. These are just some of the reminders telling us as a family that this is our family culture. That it's all about the family coming together. It's about saying I love you. It's about thanking each other. But more importantly, it's also even saying sorry. Because as parents, we make mistakes because we're human. And when we're able to do that, we're also teaching our kids humility. So the next one is R for ritual. We need to learn the amazing power of ritual, because rituals build culture. You can use rituals to pass on the values. Just ask yourself, what do you do in the morning? With me, I love family meals. I love on a Saturday morning to cook for my family so that we can eat together, because every weekday I'm not able to do that because I go to work early. I even remind Ava that whenever she wakes up, because there was one time when she just woke up and then turned on the TV, I have to give her gentle reminders telling her that, Ava, when you wake up, you need to tell good morning to daddy, And my day is not complete if I don't receive a hug from you. And of course, she's gonna be excited, and every day she does that. So, how about in the evening? You know, Deuteronomy tells us that we need to do this in the morning and evening when you're away and even when we're at home. So, my daughter Stella at night, she always asks us to read her story. And like with me, even though I'm tired, I'll do my best to read that story and even make it fun for them. Sophia at night loves to have milk. My problem is that when I'm downstairs, I'm gonna ask them, remind them, what do you need? And they're gonna forget. And when we go upstairs, they're gonna ask me, "Hey, oh, Daddy, I forgot to tell you. Can you get me milk, please, please, please?" And they're gonna give me that amazing look. And so, of course, with me, I have to do that, even though I don't want to do it. But here's what Gary Chapman, what I learned from Gary Chapman, and he said that when an action does not come naturally to you, doing it is a greater expression of love. That even though it's something that you don't want to do, but you still do it, it's a greater expression of love. It's that small daily things that you do. It's that small acts of kindness that's going to remind them of what your home is built. So from a controller's hat, now we're going to go to a coaching hat. When your kids hit 10 to 13 years old, and anytime during this period, you need to switch hats. And along the way, you have to take off your controller's hat and then now put a coaching hat. In our family, me and my wife are wearing two different hats. My wife is wearing one hat, and then I wear another hat. One of us is wearing controller's hat and the other is wearing coaching hat. So who do you think is wearing the controller's hat? Nope, it's not me. It's my wife, MM. She wears the controller's hat and I wear the coaching hat. And you, for some of you, might be thinking that that's funny, but in our family, it works. Why? Because we have a 2-month-old baby all the way to an 11-year-old girl. And with that wide range of age, we need those two hats. Why? Because when my wife is teaching them instructions consistently, I'm also able to coach them and bring out the best in them. And what's the difference between a controller and a coach? Well, you see, a coach, he stays on the bench but outside the court. When you wear the controller's hat, you're right there out in the field giving instruction with your children. But the coach doesn't do that. He just preps his player and sends him to the court alone. Why? Because the main role of the coach is not to instruct. The main role of the coach is to inspire. The main message of a parent wearing a coaching hat is to say and to remind the children, I trust you to make the right decisions. In 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 3, it says there that do not lord it over those assigned to you, but be examples of the flock. Are you an example to your children? A controller will tell you what to do down to the nitty-gritty detail of the instructions that he's providing. But a coach gives you the basic strategy and leaves you to fill in the details. I'm always reminding my wife, MM, that she also needs to be a coach. Like especially when she was stressing out with the laundry and I told her, B, Sophia and Ava, they're old enough to learn how to do the laundry. If I were you, teach them. And she said, oh, you know what, you're right. And so she was teaching them, rewarding them so that she has this reward system that she's doing. So from a controller hat, coaching hat, and then now when you remove that coaching hat, we're now putting our consultant hat. When a child becomes an adult, the parent has to wear the consultant hat. What's the difference between a coach and a consultant? Well, the coach, at any time he wishes, he can pull out his player from the court and give him feedback. A consultant cannot do that. A consultant is there only when he's asked to be there. If he isn't asked, he doesn't butt in. He doesn't interfere. But if his help is needed, he needs to be there or he'll be there. Let me share with you. I'm turning 40 this year, and up until now, I live with my parents. No, I'm just joking. Actually, 3 years ago, we bought this house and I invited my parents to join me. And the reason why is because we have 6 children and it's chaotic here at our house. So my mom and dad helps us with our children. But let me ask you, how are we able to live together in one house for almost or more than 10 years now? Well, yes, my parents are wearing their coaching hats sometimes or the controller hat controller's hat even worse. But most of days, they are always wearing their consultant hat. When help is needed, they help us change the diapers of Elijah. When help is needed, they help us put Elijah to sleep. When help is needed, they prepare food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for our children. When help is needed, they buy groceries for our children. They're always available to help when it's needed. Their theme song is actually an old song by Carole King and James Taylor, and it goes like this: You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Okay, no more singing. Anyway, lastly, kids are growing up too fast. And I shared with you that in our family, my wife is mostly wearing the controller's hat, and I am wearing my coaching hat. My parents are wearing the consultant hat. With all these hats, how come our family is thriving and not just surviving? How come our family, I can say, is successful in raising our children? And no, I'm not saying that our family is now perfect. No, no, no. We are far from that. But I can safely say that we are an imperfect family who is perfectly loved by the captain of our ship. And that's the next hat that I'm going to invite you. Who's the captain of your ship? You need to answer that. Who's wearing the captain's hat right now? And in our family, there's only one captain. And that captain starts also with a C, and his name is Christ. He is the reason why. He's the captain of our ship. He's the captain of the family. He's the navigator. He's the one leading our family from where we are right now and to the places that he's sending us. He's the one that's bringing the ship, our family, to places where we're able to plant our values and just harvest some of the blessings and the miracles that our families are experiencing. And not just for our families, but also things that we can share to our friends and loved ones. We look for the captain of our ship for giving us the direction how to best weather the storm that we face as a family, but to also trust that he will bring us to safety. Just like the disciples who choose Jesus to be the captain of their boat, who calmed the storm. I'm going to leave you these words from Joshua chapter 24. As for me and my household, we will serve the Lord, the captain of our ship, the captain of our family. Amen.